No, it's quite good.
Yeah, makes it natural. Hello, this is Noela Bury and Maggie Shaw, and we thought we'd talk about our different approaches to abstract painting.
Yes.
Maggie, you start.
I will do. Yes, I will do. When I think about your painting, which is easier to talk about than my painting, for me, I look at yours and I always think you're having such a lot of fun. Yours seems so spontaneous and joyous, and it sort of also reflects the way I think about you generally.
Well, that sounds very nice. That's very nice of you. I think I think I do approach it now as a way of discovering and seeing what's going to happen, rather than having too much planned out.
Yeah. I think as long as I can remember, I've always liked abstract art. Always. I always liked the idea that I don't quite know what's there. I'm never looking for anything. You know how people look at your work and they say, oh, that reminds me of a whatever.
Yes. You almost can't help saying that. People can't help trying to find things, can they, in abstract art?
And I think that's the difficulty sometimes, is people are looking for something to hang it on, you know. They're looking for something that they recognise, something real, don't you think?
Yes.
And I think that you should wipe your thoughts clear and just let the painting be what it is.
Yes.
The same way as we naturally accept that music is an abstract form.
Yeah.
That's what we should do with painting. But
I think sometimes people find that difficult, don't they? Because they need to have narrative, don't they? They don't think it's enough to just look at a colour or texture and have that as something that they can enjoy, maybe.
No. And yet every day, as you look around the world, even just looking at the sky, which is changing all the time and everything, that's like an abstract moving force, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everywhere you look in nature.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of abstract artists, they're trying to capture how they feel about the world, and they don't want to dictate it by putting something there that has a narrative. What they want is they want people to feel it.
Yeah.
Do you think
I think it gives you a sense of freedom, doesn't it? I think when I started off as a landscape painter, and
yes, me too.
You too. Yeah, but it's really restrictive, isn't it? Because you have to always create a sense of place or sense of the season or the air.
Yeah.
But with painting that abstract, it frees you from all that, and you can just launch into a canvas with a colour, can't you?
Yes.
And then see what colour you might like to add to it, and you just gradually build up in that way, don't you?
It's a very weird process,
It is a weird process, yes.
Because I've watched you with work, and sometimes what to you and to me looks finished, is it? It's like...
it's not ready, yes.
Yeah, and it's this funny business of actually building it up like a big puzzle, and suddenly one day it all clicks and it's right. Yeah. And you can't really explain when that happens.
That's right, it just has to feel right. I mean, I have some paintings where I just start off and there's a picture there, and it's like a life of a painting, isn't it? It's like it's got a birth, it's got a middle age, it's got kind of an old age, and at one point it stops, isn't it? But it can go through so many different processes, can't it? Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just gets there very quickly.
And I think the way you paint, sometimes you're quite happy and ready to paint all over something, even though it might look finished to you, it's not satisfying, so you would completely obliterate it and sort of build it up that way,
Trial and error.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember you saying once that you don't like to sort of paint over a canvas that you've finished, and that's quite interesting. Why is that?
It's almost as if it exists on the canvas, and as I try to paint over a canvas and reuse it and paint it all white again, it's almost as if I can still see what was there, as if it's like a pattern, even though I turn the canvas round and sand it and do all sorts of things.
You know it's there.
I know it's sort of there. It's like a ghost.
Yeah.
And every now and again I come across a little lump in the surface or something, and I remember it.
Yeah.
And then I can remember the whole thing. It's very weird, but
yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I quite like to keep obliterating, get thicker and thicker paint. And that makes it very heavy sometimes at the end.
Yes, but quite exciting. But it's quite an exciting way to work, isn't it? Because
it really is.
When you start, you really, really don't know where it's going to take you. And I think it's harder, even though people look at abstract art and think it's easy and think you just splosh paint on.
It is harder.
It's harder.
Much harder, yes.
If you've got a still life or a landscape in front of you, you know when it's finished and when you start and when you finish and where the boundaries are.
Yeah.
Painting like we do has no boundaries, does it?
The only boundary is ourselves.
Yes.
Isn't it? And what we put into it.
Yes. And that's interesting too, because you feel different on different days.
Yes, definitely.
And of course the work that you do on different days speaks in a different way, comes out in a different way. The influences that have happened to you in that, on that day.
Absolutely. And you can go in a rage and just really regret what you've done. And then you can somehow make amends the next day. Yes.
Another thing it does as well is that it's a compulsion.
Yes.
That when I'm not painting, I feel awful. I feel as if I've got to do it.
Yes.
It's not really like a choice. It's I've got to do it.
Part of your life, isn't it?
Part of my life.
It gives it meaning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which sometimes I wish it would leave me alone.
If it's not going well.
Yes.
But if it's going well, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yes. It's such a fantastic... Oh, what's that?
We've been talking for about nearly 8 minutes, don't know. Pete said we should stop after 5.
Oh,
what we could do, we could listen to it and then...
Yeah, listen to all that rubbish.